Haven't been recording much, just haven't felt like it. Pretty depressing when it's fucking cold. It did warm up a bit after the blizzard we had, and a lot of it's melted, but it's down to 26 degrees right now. It's pretty damn cold. Anyway, so what I had done here is I got the fan in. I had to grind off these guys and put these brackets. I figured straight on works, and it's just a minor thing here. Minor gap. And I have it lined up top and bottom with the weld. I probably should have went with the one for the Dodge Dart because it is a Dodge Dart radiator, but it does tend, according to the size, it looks like it hangs over. And don't forget, these brackets are the opposite side, so this goes on this side, and then this would overhang on this end. Because that's what it looks like it does, because the measurements that they give me, they swear that it's correct. So I'm like, I went with the Jeep one because left to right, it was correct or smaller. And the top and bottom, though, I realize that it's a little bit of a mistake, but this is awfully long here. So I have it closer to here, so you can't put the hose on all the way, but there's plenty of, whatever you got to do there for that. And obviously I gave myself a little more room so I could put this hose on. And I used, I drilled out the holes and put carriage bolts so that these can be easily unbolted and removed, because that's a big thing with me. Now, the only thing I'm going to do, which you really can't do anything with that petcock, but I'm going to take it off. I'm going to extend it with a piece of brass, maybe angle it down so it kind of can drain in that area right there, because it would just kind of drip and hang and go over there. And this piece here is bent in this car, so like I have a feeling a tow truck driver might have recently pulled on that. I don't know if it was hit. It kind of looks okay on this side, although that's bent outwards. That, to me, this looks like a hook got on this, and this might just be on the close side, but it's hard to tell. Somebody could have hit that, because there is a pinch right there. So one side could be hit, although it's pinched over here too. Oh, it's in a different space though. It's a completely different look on both sides. So not quite sure. That's body shop stuff. Or you get a new piece of tin if somebody has a used one. What else? Yeah, so I ended up going with the electric because you could tell, like, the motor looks like it's straight, and the radiator is definitely off, a little bit. I don't know if this angle changes at all with the way everything was, or just the fact that the fan was in the higher position on the original motor. It kind of lived in the middle a little bit more. This just makes it for sure that it's going to pull the air that it needs. Like I said, I might have to get some rubber to put around here, take it off again. But that's why I made it to work like this, so it gets done pretty quickly. Overall, I'm very happy with the way everything's going. I don't know if I can't remember if I filmed it. I think I did. I haven't made this video yet, collaboration, but I had to end up grinding all these out because I really should have got the right year. I think I remember saying that. I put the new bolt on over there. So this is the exhaust manifold. Looks like it's going to be fine. I just would definitely next time go with the one for the front wheel drive car from the right year, because I went with the one newer and I thought it was fine, but I didn't realize the aluminum head motors, they had different spacing here. So I had to grind the fuck out of it, and then the head of the bolt wouldn't work. So the end result is that I had to put these spaces, and the spaces had to be grinded even. So it's going to work. Seems okay. Right now, just I took out the starter switch and I realized I guess it's factory. It kind of looked like it was Mickey Mouse, it kind of looks like somebody made this because it's tweaked and whatnot, and it was covering the hole. But when this is on, it's, I don't know. It's almost like an afterthought they did this. I don't know. I really don't. This is the switch. I was trying to give the guy the switch that bought the motor, and I realized I gave him the freaking high beam switch, which I was putting new anyway. Still haven't figured out what I'm doing with the gas pedal just yet. What else? I'm going to try to get the right color paint for this. It's bothering me. And I'm not done. I ended up messing around with I'll get to the steering wheel in a minute. Let me go and all that. Travel through the mess here. But I have been putting layers and layers of epoxy. But this plastic bonder epoxy from one of the main companies, it's coming out good. Like there was a big chunk here missing, and there's a whole bunch of cracks. And I wasn't going to go crazy with the cracks, so you can still see there's a crack. So I got a primer filler I'm going to use, but this is nowhere near smooth. I bought something with a drill attachment that's kind of like this, but with a drill attachment. I want to see how that comes out. This is very difficult to do, and this is why I guess they charge $1,800 to do this. I put a lot of time into this, and I just keep trying to sand it off, and it's just not easy. And I'm not really sanding. I'm using the like a file, a round file, a flat file. No matter what, it's like I can't get ahead. And I put this so thin, this stuff, and it just keeps dripping. And if I let it sit too long, it's even harder to apply. So I'm just hoping I have enough layers here that it's building up, and then when I do have enough to sand it, but it just doesn't sand off, like you need something very, very coarse that takes off a lot at one shot. And emery cloth isn't working. These things aren't working. If you use this is way too strong, with the tool, of course. I tried one of these pads. This is not going to be so great, but at least it won't have holes in it. That's what I'm thinking. And it'll look good from a distance for the most part. And I just feel that, if I'm going through all this trouble, I might as well just get the paint matched right. And so it'll be another can of paint. But I went to a real body supply place that can match it up. So I gave them the piece, and hopefully they come up with something for me. But they said definitely has to be base coat plus clear coat. I ordered some stuff on eBay for the directional signal, the original one, and none of them use this thing. And I don't understand this. This is something meant for Studebakers, and I know it says Studebaker Commander, but it had the same thing. Like they didn't even have, a directional signal. Like it was an added option. Come on, hang on. 2 hands necessary. Anyway, so there's some directions in here. There's a couple of bulbs, but then there's this shit that looks like some kind of weird thing. It was missing shit. It has a couple extra brackets, but it has the same cover, and I saw this in the picture. It has the same cover that came with this car. So I'm a little befuddled, but it seems like this is only something that you're ever going to get from Studebaker, and none of these cars pretty much have it, or there's nothing available for these years. So this says it has to be used in conjunction with 5774, which is also hard to find in good shape for less money. But it's like I didn't even need to have this other Studebaker thing. So this is the thing. I took it apart because it seems new, but it's not perfect. What's ingenious about it is this little wheel here. And I saw the wheel, and I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at until I looked at it. But this is designed to actually press up against. You bolt it to the drum, and it presses up against this area here. And with the opposite turn turns it off. So I find that amazing. And they have other ones, number. But I'm not liking the way it is, and I can't remember. I don't think this one was this is another brand. It's not the 5774 stuff, Hang on a second. So that's a little hard to move, so probably going to have to get lubed. But if let's see what happens. You roll it a little bit and it rolls right back, and now this doesn't do it. It's not on there. These little teeth bite into there. They're automatically physically rolling it back. Like it basically does the same thing like if you were to lift it up and remove it. It's pretty kind of cool. And I'm trying to make it user-friendly, and because even if I got the original stuff to work, I just think it's retarded to have the directional signal on the light switch. And I called up the Studebaker guy. He goes, they all have them on the thing. There's none of them have it on this. And I'm like, well, you don't fucking know shit, apparently. So unless this is some kind of aftermarket shit that they came up with for this car, like I don't really know, but it looks like the same. same, not that, but it all looks like the same stuff. This is all loose. And I got to take this out. Then these keys fucking work properly in this thing. So that'll be help. They don't even work right in the freaking doors. And I'm working on, I want to get the gas gauge to work originally with the fuel cell that's in the trunk. Oh yeah, so that starts to lead into wiring. So I cut open the wiring harness here, and I just removed these two wires because this went from the voltage regulator to the original generator that was part of this harness. So I kind of don't want anything in there. I know this one here is for the temperature thing, so that's got to go on this guy over here. But before we even get that crazy, I pulled out all the shit that was here, which had the starter switch along with the, that floor switch, which is not needed if I'm going to change the switch. This guy here probably goes to the gauge. I don't know which one comes in from the gauge. I gather one of these guys. So I was kind of hoping I can kind of reuse it. I don't know. So this was originally on the starter, I think, but I guess I'd put it to the battery because I got something else going on. This looks pretty hefty, this wire. I'm supposing I can adapt it to make it go to the back of the alternator, and that way the gauge will work the same way. As far as the lighting is concerned, somebody retaped this, but this tape was like, it's rock hard. So if somebody redid this, they did it a long time ago. All the wires look good. It's just that the felt was just like, yeah, this is the felt. Oh, some glove. But it just cut really easily with a razor. So you have, which I ended up cutting them because I gave the guy the wrong switch, and I'm not sure because I ended up taking off the thing. But one of these has a eye loop on it probably because I didn't cut it. The ones that are cut are obviously going to the lights, so I think it's these three, and the other one that went underneath. Yeah, what's this guy? Oh, this guy is interesting. So it came out of what I had here. So this was, this is the ground. Okay, so this one could be eliminated as well. This is the wire that went to that switch. So this grounded the solenoid when you hit the button on the floor. So that's eliminated. So the starter, the starter wire is gone. So it's only going to be 3 wires going down there. This one here with the little plug here, I believe this is for the horn, and it wasn't hooked up, so I don't know if the horns even work, if I got to get aftermarket horns, which is just as well. I'd like to get these working because it's awesome to have 6-volt horns blow at 12 volts. Now there's another plug over here, and you have, let me just move these guys out of the way. I guess I should go through what's here. One is the temperature gauge. The other one, I don't think there's another gauge here for that. It just seems like power to the solenoid, perhaps. So maybe power with the key on. Like I said, that one goes from the battery to one end probably of the gauge, and it also powers the ignition switch, undoubtedly. I'm pretty sure this one went down to the steering box because there was a wire that was disconnected over here for the horn, and we're going to make that work like factory. These 3 wires are for the high beam lights, so it's power going in with the 2 high beam switches, and it probably, these make a turn over here. One probably simply gets power from inside, from the headlight switch, and then the other 2 are going high beam, low beam, and they're color coded, so it's probably correct. I noticed that there was an extra wire here that goes to the lights on both sides, so that might be something where you can put a different bulb, and because it may or may not have what we need here, unless there's another light, which I don't think so. I don't know if it's a dedicated ground, I doubt it, but it's something to do. Excuse me, I get the hiccups. It's something to do with an option, undoubtedly. So we shall find out about that. You have, basically, it looks like, and these 2 were jumped. So I gather this is the 2 brake lights that go to the back, if there's 2 separate lines. They sometimes don't have that, because, but if it had directional signals, I think it did. So these are probably directional. You got these 3 here. This guy here was kind of lingering around here, so I'm not sure it was meant to go all three, so I don't know why these would all be connected, unless that is the tail lights, and then this is the license plate light, which might have been an option, so they left the wire there. So I'm going to end up putting reverse lights in. I'm not sure yet how that's going to go. I'm not sure what this guy is yet. I'd have to think hard, but I can't do it right now. Whether it's a power supply, but I have a feeling it's another option. But hopefully I don't have, because the wires are in pretty darn good shape other than the stuff going around them, so I can undo that and put new tape. There's not really much sense redoing this. It really does look okay. This is the horn relay. I could put a different one if I had to. But all in all, it looks pretty darn good. And I think, if this, you got one for each directional, one circuit I can make one circuit all for the lights and for the tail lights and for the license plate light, and then maybe whatever's left I can use for a reverse light. So there seems to be enough wiring here to do what I need to do. We'll see how it incorporates between the directional signals and the brake lights and whatnot, and whether I hopefully don't have to do something with the brakes or the brake light switch, which is under the car. So, but that's where I'm at. It's a nutshell right now. I did put the dipstick tube on from the Camaro that had in the back of the block, because it was coming right up here, which would have been fine, but it was impossible to bolt it to anything. So I just made a bracket that came from another bracket I had. I painted it black, and I bolted to the back of the head. And now I put like a body bolt. Yeah, so now it's super firm, and it's all the way out here, so you have plenty of access. You can't miss it, kind of thing. And that's looking good. I had this bracket out. I bolted it back in. I'm debating whether a different lower hose now. I got to do all these heater hoses. There's so much heater hose that I probably will just try to buy a roll online. I put the fuel pump in and put the thing back in. I put a new fuel pump because all of them only have a 1-year warranty. So I'm like, I got to make a new line that goes all the way back to the tank for a return line. And that's why, an old car like this can always have some kind of problem with vapor lock, but that basically totally eliminates the problem. So that'll work out good, and I can just tie it to the other line in some fashion. And which I did many years ago when I put a fuel cell in it. And I did disconnect the line right here. It started dripping. Gas didn't look so good to drive the car. But I'm going to put a new line from here that goes shorter to the fuel pump. And then I'll make another thing going back. After this piece is out, accessing the wiring for the high beam switch and for the starter cutout switch. So that's pretty much where I'm at. This is a long video, 18 minutes, and like I said, there's other wiring I didn't get to. I know the switch for the wiper was fucked up. It was smoking and going on fire the last time I drove it, and then all of a sudden it started working fine. So there's nothing wrong with the motor. It's 6-volt. I'll have to get some kind of reduction because the aftermarket ones are expensive. This is probably all you need, and it'll work just fine. And that's that. And getting there, but it's still cold. It still sucks to do work at this time of the year. Managing though. So I decided to take this stuff off too. And of course, fucking wires are short for the ignition. It's stupid. I got the headlight out, and I'm like, looking at this again, and I'm like, turns. This is the turn signal switch, is it? And I'm like, it's just telling you to turn it one way for this. I guess this way is the instrument panel, and then the other way M. It's not dome because there is no. Oh, there's a light back there. I don't know. This is so stupid. And then this wire here was kind of wrapped in it, and then all this wire here, and in the end there's 2 wires coming out of this, or maybe it was. Apparently they were putting this for speaker wires. Maybe they had some kind of radio under the dash, maybe. I don't know anymore. And then it goes under the carpet here. It goes all the way to the back. So I gather it's for speakers. But that's hilarious. So this is just a headlight switch, and obviously there's some things that are not being used. And this might just work fine. I'm not sure if I want to use it, because now I'm worried. Not worried, but I'm just like, a lot of times it ends up clashing with stuff that you're trying to do. But that's pretty hilarious. I'll see. I don't know. Still looking more silvery, but then again, from another angle, not so much. I think it's just because it's staring up at me. But you know, it's the sun is not the sun out, but definitely looks more copper bronzish. You know, but and this is definitely better than the last paint I had. But not super thrilled, but I'm grasping at straws here. So hopefully it won't be so bad. But it seems like on the second coat now, it's definitely better. Because the more coats you put of this, the more it kind of looks like it has a little bit of a sheen to it, instead of just being flat if you do a thin layer. So, and I went a little deeper on all the other stuff. It's not really necessary, but oh, I did more than I was supposed to. I'm using a filler primer now. I'm just trying to fill it. This came out like a disaster, but it's still like a lot less cracks, but there's just some you can't get. You know, I shoved the stuff in all the holes, I thought, but it's like you got to grind it out and then force it in and then, you know, do other shit to it. So now I got to get, I sanded these. I got to paint these guys and keep working on the steering wheel. Well, this sucks. I'm kind of wailing on this, and I said, yeah, it's no big deal. But then I started thinking better about it. I put the nut on, and then I started hitting it, and then it still wouldn't fucking come out. And I'm holding it by this, you know, because I've been through this before where this bends if you don't do this right. And I hate putting it in a press and putting all the load on this. So I'd rather do the impact shocks with the hammer and just, but it ain't going. So I don't know if taking the bearing off will help, because the bearing is not perfect. It's cocked a little bit. So maybe that's why it's not wanting to come off. Plus it's old. So we shall see. Well, before you break out the hammer and try to smash something, the right tool fucking works. I had zero effort on it and it pulled it right off. I don't understand why that is the way it is, but I don't know if you heard me in earlier videos, but basically when I put the new one on, because this configuration is not available, I don't know where to find one with a single pulley. I don't know if there's a foreign car, but no matter what they give you is a two pulley thing, and I'm pretty sure the pulley is not in the same place. I compared it to another car that had, you know, the Dart that I had here before, and it was not in the same place. So I don't know if a foreign car would be different or something like that, or, you know, maybe it's easier to shim it on that one to play with it, but you can't really do it on this. So I mean, I could try to check it out to see, but it's really not looking like it, you know. I would be happy just, you know, because you just use one of the pulleys. But this would be a lot. It would be like 1/4 of an inch. And I gather, yeah, one way or the other, it wouldn't really work, I don't think. Because I think the bracket is on the behind it over here. And it's sandwiched in between, so there's no way to really get it to move. Yeah, because I think it goes up against that. I don't know if it goes behind it. I have to look again, but ultimately, I'm going to take this bearing out and then try to resurface this. Whether I do it or have my friend do it, something along those lines. I gather it needs to be done, but it's not so far gone that it can't be done, but it's probably best to be machined, you know. So I shall see. So, in a lot of cases, let's see if that's clearer. Not really. Jesus Christ, it keeps getting worse. Okay, nice and clear. So, maybe from beating on it, but it really shouldn't have mattered to beat on it a little bit. You know, I just used a socket and I hit it out because I already had the, what do you call it, off. That's pretty bad. Just by hitting it, shouldn't have really made it go crazy, but that's just it. You know, it ends up being a problem, you know. So I was debating whether to buy just a new one instead of trying to take it out of the other one. But, you know, trying to save a little bit of money, but, you know, also you kind of get the, I would probably use the other, what do you call it? Would probably use the other snap ring and all that stuff, you know. Obviously, all this stays the same. I think, Jesus, I didn't even think about that. So that's another thing which I don't particularly care for. I really don't know. I'll know when I take it apart, though. So it looks like they're actually 7/16, and I kind of forced in 6mm, which you would think they wouldn't catch, but they definitely look smaller. They were so dirty, I had to clean them up. But these definitely look like they're bigger. You know, so even the 6mm was tight. So this came out okay. Hopefully this does too. So this is the gas pedal, and I was putting it on the Mustang gas pedal that I have, because I want to use the original one and just have it hit the arm, but it's like all the way up. It would be like perpendicular. So as you can see here, it's basically a brass tube that's mushroomed on either side, riveted, whatever you want to call it. So I grinded off one, and I popped it out, and I flipped this over, and then I put a 5mm thread in there. And if I just put a bolt, and the whole thing moves with it, like the pin is tight on the outside, not on the inside. So it's pretty ingenious, and it never rusts. That's pretty cool for the pivot. So hopefully it glides relatively well here. I can probably do something, glue something like a piece of rubber or something like that will go. But I don't think it's going to be an issue, to be honest. You know, it would have been nice if this piece of rubber was still here. I can just fill it with epoxy. It would slide on the plastic, basically. You know, so basically what I was doing, it was like this. And it wouldn't pivot. If you have this the other way, like this one, the way this is now, I can go back to this and just space it up, you know? And like I said, the original one, it was like this, but it was flat the other way. It was the other way. But you see, if the gas pedal's like this, I can't get it to go like that. I couldn't just flip it over. So I had to pop it out, flip it over that way, and now I'm going to go like this. So I'm going to expose this, hit the 2 bolts again, and now this will be like 2 inches forward, so it won't look like it's perpendicular. I still may have to cut some off the gas pedal I bought, but I think that's pretty cool. And I'm cleaning the piece now, and to see, I got to call my friend to see if he can machine like this on the other one. Oops, like that. And I'll see about getting the bearing out. I probably will. It's not a big deal. Press it out and put it in. I hit out the other one. I could probably hit out this one, but I'll be supporting it in the press. If anything, it'll come right out. Ultimately, just this. I want to take a hair off that. That's a new one. I'm pressing the bearing out to put it in here, but I'm not gonna put it in if we go, because I just feel there's play in the bearing if you grab it by there. So I'd rather give you something to grab it on the inside or something. And just to take off a hair. It's not in bad shape, but the bearing was no good and the compressor was leaking. But they don't make this anymore, so I got a new compressor with a dual pulley and putting this one on. Hey Mike, why do you have a power steering pump on the car when you don't have power steering in the conventional sense? My wheels are turning. And this is going to be a surprise, but I'm just testing to see if it fits with the stock pump, and all the way tight. It has a pinky of room there between the battery box, so I almost thought it wasn't going to work, and I was contemplating ways to put this over there, but you know, it's probably not going to work. But this is definitely going to work like I expect. I got something interesting I'm planning. All right, got this back from my friend. I'm going to put the bearing in, but I'm going to paint this up a little bit. And he managed to hold it on the inside and machine it. He says because of it got some lines, but it's flush for the most part. It's not perfect. I'm going to hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad, but we went very fine in the end because I kept asking him to take more off because I didn't like the way it looked. But it's all one surface. You know, it was true already. He said, this is pretty true. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it was rusty. So he only took 0.006 off in the end. That's nothing. So it might just be fine. And like if too much gets taken off, then you have to machine this off. Usually you machine off even more, and then you put shims. Or there's usually a shim in there, and then you pull it. You can pull it out and put a thinner one in there. So I'll make all that work. But that's basically it. This was a working thing, but the bearing was going bad. But the compressor was definitely leaking on this. You can see the slop right there. So this was worth doing. I had to change. I couldn't just put the clutch the way it was. So it'll be just like it was new. And we have a new one. And also, here's the thing. I was kind of trying to take these guys off, but it ends up being that those are much bigger threads here. This has the threads already. So now what was good about this is that it transforms 90 degrees perfectly. But I guess in an S10 it would have been more difficult. But this car, I got plenty of room. I'll just put the 90 degree, turns coming off the top. Should be fine. Okay, I got the bearing pressed in. I put the clip on. I painted it. And I basically whacked it down using the old bearing because there's only so far you can go with other things because you don't clear the center here. The center has to be clear enough to get this other snap ring on. So, feels good. Oh, that's binding. Oh no. Oh no. What's going on here? I don't know how well these bearings take to being hit on. I really should have found a proper thing here, but let me just give a little. You'd be surprised how a little tap like that, it's not working. Let me take a closer look. I'll let you know what happens. So even though I was not liking the way it was going in, so I don't know if just because it's made in China and they made their own thing here that this clip now is not working with the Japanese clutch setup, but you could see how it's touching there, and you can get it past, but it's not seating all the way in. Whether it's this one or this one, I don't know yet. So I didn't like the way it was going in, and then I look at the things on. You can see there's a huge difference. This might be the gold standard now because of the way they're made, but back in 1985, where this was made in Japan and not China, they just use a thinner one. It's the same bearing, supposedly, but what they do in the newer one, they make the pocket a little bit bigger because I noticed that the bearing, even though I pressed it all the way in, it doesn't quite seat all the way. So that's just the way they did it for whatever reason. It gave the bearing a little bit of a relief, perhaps, but, it is what it is. So don't destroy your snap rings just in case something like this happens. I'm trying to hold the phone and put this thing on. So, and you always want to, the pocket is the other one to have relief from. So I go in, and that noticeably went in more right away with no tension. And now when I turn it, it's literally a hair. Can you believe that? And one would argue that this is the correct one for this one because it's going with the original one here, where that one might have an undue amount of play for that, for whatever reason, It might be the same, may not be, And like I said, if we took off too much, which I don't think 0.006 will put me over the limit here, I'm thinking that if I go over 0.006, I gotta machine this then, because then it's too far away, and then I gotta make this go closer. Or I take this shim out. If there's usually a shim in these things, so if that's the case, you take out the shim. I don't know why it remotely looks dirty, but it's not a big deal right here. But that shim, I'm sure I can get one thinner, or the one off there, it might be thinner. If you notice, this whole thing is actually encapsulated more, even though I saw that oil leaking out of it. little different, you know, like they have another snap ring down there to hold this thing in. So it's the same style, but it's not exactly the same, although I'm sure what I'm doing is perfectly fine to do. So, okay, that went all the way on. I guess it's kind of, oh, look at that. Look how perfection it's touching. So wait a minute. If it's touching, then this guy was built up more. I could have machined more off it and made it better. That's interesting. Huh. That's so wild. Or I gotta go back and machine more? That would suck. I'll just put it in. I just gotta find it now. I gotta find one that I could use. And I don't know if I can just take out that one and see the difference and see if it's more or less than the other one. But that's wild. So they gave you a lot more to machine on the old ones here, apparently. And I can't say that this one looks taller, because I'm looking at this now. That looks so much taller. Okay, so if it's taller, then this is small. Yeah, this is shorter. Where, yeah, I would never use the old clutch here. And you can argue that it looks fine and it needs to be cleaned up, but it doesn't quite fit with the keyway, and I wouldn't want to force it on just by pushing it on a little. Let's compare keyways. Yeah, it looks close, but it does look, this one's bigger, and it just went right on. I mean, this one might be on a hair on the side of being mushroomed from use, and of course there's a bunch of metal filings in there, among other things. But yeah, I gotta find a. I don't even know what the spec is for the air gap. I don't know if it's 10 thousandths or 15 thousandths or 8 thousandths or whatever. But I'm shocked. I could have actually taken off more, and I didn't even think about that. So the Japanese one, you can tell there's still a shim in there, and I took out a shim. This one pretty much only has one shim. So that's interesting. Interesting whole array of whatnot. And I'm gonna, I don't know, it's just like dust got on this or something. I don't know why I would do that, but it's really not a big deal right there, to be honest. I'm not really concerned. What was I going to say? So I'm going to look up the air gap and see if this is enough, or I got to pull out the next one, or both. We'll see what happens. So it looks like the spec is like from 16 thousandths to 31 thousandths, and I measured this. It's exactly 31 thousandths. So after putting it in, even though I'm missing, I'm the only one that can take a bunch of you know, feeler gauges and wipe out the writing on them somehow. It's not just dirt. I can't see past it at all. It's like it doesn't exist. Like some acid hit it. I don't know. But I basically, I had a 22 in there, and that was just, it seems like it's about 23, maybe 24. 25 does not fit. So it's 23 or 24. That's what putting this in. And that one was touching. But, you know, it'll probably get a little bit less when I actually bolt it on. So, but I'm confident this is fine. So it's right there. Like, you like to try to get it closer to the 16 thousandths, but, you know, it's not a huge deal. I can start playing with these, but it's something to think about if you take apart any amount of compressors to do this type of stuff. This is a unique washer here with the keyway on it, you know, shim. I'm sure you could buy them, but it would be in your best interest to you know, to hold on to them. Don't throw them away. You know? I don't know. Should I take out the other one? Since I'm not going to be keeping this guy. It'd be really nice if I had a fucking magnet on me. I'm too lazy to get up. I'll just turn it upside down. So I don't think I zeroed it or had a piece of schmutz on there, but I might have also measured the whole thing, because if you don't do it in the tips, it ends up being a little bit off. It's actually 29.5. And the other one, I pulled out the other one, it's 31. So, you know, that one is 31. So I'm going to put the smaller one in, and it'll be fine. And I'll keep an extra one. Now that I pelted it down, I'm like, it seems fine, but it is a scotch on the tight side, I think. But it looks fine. These things are never really 100% because of the spring that this is, technically. So, but it seems equal. I was trying to look at the light through it. See, right there. And it's like it might be a shade more on that side, but this thing is spinning square. So when this thing applies a few times, it'll straighten out undoubtedly. If it's off, it doesn't seem like it's off, to be honest. But I gotta find another one. This is 17, so that's a hair over the minimum. I want to make sure. See, look, it's a little loose in there. So it's about what I said. Maybe it's closer to the 22, the one that I actually have that I can see the fucking writing on. I don't know if I took these all out and I started flipping them over. Yeah, look at that. I started flipping them over. Oh, that one's 24,000. Yeah, it's more likely 24. That's what I figured. The 25, I had no reference other than these tune-up things here. So I didn't want to scratch anything, but like I felt funny trying to force in that little guy right there. But I'm not forcing it in. It actually is, you know, now that it's tightened, it's more on the loose side. It's closer to 25. It's more centered now that, yeah, but 30 doesn't fit. Oh no, that's just 35? No, it's 30. See, you're also supposed to plunge these things down. Yeah, it looks like the 30 fits. I don't know. I don't know if I should try to do something to make it better, make it smaller. Let's see. Okay, definitely can't trust these guys for doing spark plugs. So right here I have a definitive, even though it's brass. That's 10, and this one is 18. 28. 28 does not fit in here. I'm actually trying to force it a little bit, and it's not going. The first one goes in because it's a hair longer. It's not going in. So, like I said, if it's right around 25, it is what it is. You like to get it on the lower side, but I think this is fine. You know, it's made to accept it, and there's probably a little bit of rule of thumb where you can go a little bit more. Maybe something to check in the future, just to see. But yeah, I'm curious. I still like it. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm still curious of what that other one is. You know, like the one that came with it. I probably should have taken it out just so I get an idea. You know, because if I can make it a little bit smaller, I guess I should. But this has been machined, and that's just it. This has been machined, so it may wear out. Actually, it may, break in a little bit more and get a bigger gap. I'm not 100% sure. It's spinning nicely and evenly, so that's the main thing. But I'm gonna probably take a look at this again. Okay, I took it off. Moment of truth. This guy is 42 thousandths, 43 thousandths. So what does that mean if I put something that's, what was that, 31 thousandths? It's going to be 10 thousandths less. If it's 10 thousandths less, as far as far way too below. It's not another one. There's only that one. And what's funny is like these seem to land on that, what do you call it? That snap ring there. It's very interesting. So I really have the best deal that I have here, and I think it's going to be fine. But I just can't see collectively, if putting 29 thousandths put me in a spec in the 29,000, like this is very close to zero, which is probably what the intent was, and it just because these are made at 2 different times, they just do it differently. I'm just trying to figure out how much different I can do this, I don't think there's much math here to do. no matter what. And what's good about that one is that they made it so that there was, you know, room to go in either direction. But this one, not so much. Let me just measure that one more time. Make sure I'm zero. I'm zero. 45 thousandths. If I do hold it up here, it's like 48, 47 thousandths. All these fucking magnetic filings everywhere. You know, 44 and a half. Worst case scenario is 45. 45 and 29 is 29 and a half. Just say 30 is 75 thousandths. So it's like, it's very hard to, yeah, it would be 14 thousandths off, you know, and it would work if it was all the way at the back end of the adjustment, but it's not. And yeah, I guess you can look for more of these. I suppose you can also, you know, machine that down a little bit somehow. Not quite sure. This is the one that was definitely thicker. Come on, phone, stop looking at what's behind it. Yep. I mean, $31 and change, which I think it's okay. That's 29 thousandths. All right. Did I have these backwards? I measure wrong. I'll put this one now. Let's just measure it one more time. You know what they say: measure twice and cut once. I get 29 and a half when I hold it hard. And this one I get, they're pretty much the same. When I held this one hard, I got the same thing. I must have had a little piece of shit on there or something. Maybe it'll be a little bit tight. This one looks physically smaller, so I don't know. You're telling me my cheap Harbor Freight fucking vernier caliper is maybe not so accurate? So, I might have gotten a little bit tighter. Maybe not 2 thousandths tighter. Maybe. So then, does my 22 fit a little tighter? Oh, look at that. It's definitely tighter. It just fits in there. There's a little bit of play. It might still be very close to what I originally said. That one was 24. Yeah, it's on 24 fits. Yeah. I would like to find another feeler gauge, but I'm not 100% sure it's even all the way around. We're dealing with fine Chinese parts here. So, where are we at? Oh, let me go back to the 28 I made. I can go 7. I can go 28. I can go 27. Let's try 27. Oh, 27 fits. Remember before 28 did not. But 27 is in spec. You know, there's really not much else to argue about it. Okay, here's the 18. That's funny. I swapped them, and it got bigger. Yeah, 28 fits now. What's going on here? Let's try this again. Let me make a new video. Boy, spending a lot of time on this. I decided to put the 2 of the other one in there just to see, because now I'm like, wait a minute, if it's 28 and I take off, 12, that would leave me right at 16, but it's just barely contacting. And it's contacting like in one spot, because this thing is obviously not 100% because of the spring here. You kind of hate to wear it in. I don't know this is going to straighten out. But just for shits and giggles, because maybe the internet is wrong. Let's try to put in the 17. Where is he? 17, which is 1 inch, one scooch, what are they called? Scotch. 1 scotch above spec. Come on, where are you? Yeah, I took this apart, obviously, and way too much work to make it fucking right. Put it all back together the way it should be. So this side is the bigger side, and that 17, that fits. But you have to figure that this side here, it's going to equal out. It's because it's spring loaded here. So like what happens is if I push this down so it doesn't contact. So if I'm pushing down a little bit. See? You can hear it contacting. But if I push this thing, which is basically a spring, see right there, it's actually equal now, where it's contacting the whole time. So it definitely looks like, where's the light? You can see the light there, and then you basically see almost nothing here. So you got to figure, if this is 17, then this becomes 8. So if I found a way to get 28, that's only because this side is 14, so the difference between 28 and 14 is another 14. So technically it's 21, and that'll work its way in. It has to, which is fine, So I'm going to go back to where I had it, the original shim with one of these shims, and it'll be fine. All right, it's done. I'm confident it's fine. And what was I going to say? I'm not going to put it in yet. I got to get an extra bolt because it was missing one. But that's not the problem. I want to do the heater hose that's underneath this thing because that looks like a real bitch. So that's going to wait on hold. I got to work tomorrow, but I am doing a little more today also. I got some, I don't know, did I film everything? I don't think I did last night because it was getting dark. So, just to recap, I did I think I showed you that. I think I took a video of this. Dipstick tube. I made my own bracket down there. Put the alternator back on to check, and I did showed you the what do you call it? A little concerned that water is getting down here, but the hood is cracked open, and I guess it's just the nature of it. But I put all the stuff back. I got the little gaskets in. Okay, so that's gonna make it seal nice now. And I think I'm gonna go back with the original hose, most likely. I think I cut a little bit more off it, and I'm not even sure if I'll cut more. But it's still, no matter what I put, it's not really what I would call perfect by any means. And you got the front end, you got this, you got that, and this has got to be sorted out before the power steering pump or anything I do, which I didn't reveal what I'm going to do with the power steering pump is going to work yet, But I put the return hose on here, rubber return hose, because I'm going to make a whole return line go into the tank. I got rubber hose coming for that. I had the wrong size. I guess I'm going to put the sensor in for the engine so it's not open. And this is the bolt that I need over here. I got other bolts over here. And what else? Wiring, of course. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do the wiring. I'm going to make this work. I may change. So this is basically two. One goes to the gauge for the alternator, and the other, it comes out, because now this has to be reversed in order to make that work. I don't see a problem using this wire, but I almost want to bridge it over, because I got to find out how many amps the original one was, because what they do is you can put a little bridge behind the gauge. I can't even reach the fucking gauge, though, without taking everything apart again. So I'm kind of want to put the bridge out here so it's accessible, just so I can maybe play with it. Because supposedly, if you have a maximum, let's say you have a 90 amp alternator, which I think is what that is. I could be wrong. And if the gauge only goes to 60 amp, then you got to put a 10 gauge wire back there, which is pretty much what this is. You bridge it behind, you bridge it across, and now, you have the new point where you have a fatter wire. But the thing is, I am still bottlenecking it through here. So I'd still have to add a wire if I want to do this right. This wire seems like it's fine, We could technically put a 10 gauge wire on that. I always rather put something thicker, but I'm definitely going to have to put a bridge to the gauge. And I'll probably put I will put a dummy light, for the alternator as well. It's silly not to. That way you have both. And what else? And then I got to figure out all the other wiring. A lot of this wiring is in good shape, This is the wiring that goes to the rear for the rear lights. The gas gauge, I got to figure out which one is which, because the gas gauge has not been used. Thank God the colors are still kind of intact. And then I have to figure out, because it's a fuel. Is this usually the key? I can't remember. I thought it pushed in. Yeah, there's a key there. Well, when you there's certain spots for gauges. This is a Camaro thing here. I'm not happy with it. What happened? This is a month in the making. I've been not even doing this because of this part. Never came in from the mail. It got lost. And the guy was so reluctant to take care of me. He says, I got 1 million of them. I'll send you another one. Finally, he says that. It's all fucked up. This thing is not right. Give me junk. So I'm moving the little clips, the little, these things here. They're broken. That guy's on. But these are all missing. You can see there's one there. It sucks. You wait this long, and then he gives you junk. And not to mention, the one he gave me, it had the little cup holder and the little cigarette, the ashtray thing. And even if he gave me an ashtray thing, I couldn't use it because it's all broken here, And it's frustrating. So I started thinking of other things too, and I'm just, I'm contemplating. I still can't use this one, perhaps, but I was thinking about using just this part, unless I can fix this somehow by epoxying on a piece of plastic. But it's like it's been left outside. It's all fucked up. Fucking the other guy, the other one that he supposedly sold me had a cigarette lighter in it. Not that I need it, not that I need a cigarette lighter to work, but sometimes the original one on some cars they weren't right, and then it's a pain in the ass to make it fit. This is the ignition switch. I'm trying to remember where right here is the thing. It kind of looks right, but it also looks big, so I don't know if the other one's going to fit. Really don't know. I think the gas pedal is going to work out good. See how I reversed it? I threaded it, so I put a little screw on there so it can't come apart. And when this guy is up here and mounts to the wall, I took off the original Ford pedal, and that way when this guy is all the way down, okay, see how that they like to kind of change angles, sort of, so you got to get it right where it's contacting no matter what. But all the way up, it should be right about there. So now it's even. It's a lot easier to deal with, So, and I'm pissed about the paint still don't fucking match. But I have a feeling it matched more on this. I think somebody painted all this, and they just used any kind of copper, and I'm matching the wrong one, because this one even looks lighter, than the rest of this. Like, they touched all this stuff up, and they left a few things alone here. They just sold to her and just cleaned it all up and did a few things, painted a few things. Like, they painted the headline green. It probably looked all dirty. Maybe it was smoked in, for all you know. But it was intact, so they just fucking painted it green, and they painted the door panels green. That's pretty hilarious. And they painted these things green. This is like a brush on. So I don't know. But I think this is working out, other than my overspray here. I plan to have the gas gauge to work, and the temperature gauge, and the oil gauge, and the ammeter gauge. I want them all to work. But I do want to add in a light. I don't know if I can put it like here, where this one wasn't being used. We're not using the choke anymore, so I might put it in there. So, just so, I'm not making more holes than I need to. These things don't work. They're seized. I'm probably going to reuse this, because in the end, it actually says I is interior and M is map. So I thought it said turn. I says, "Oh, your directional signals is on the thing." And I'm arguing with the guy that sells Studebaker parts. And he probably thought I was an idiot, because I'm like, it says turn on the headlight switch, right? Isn't that, because I just thought it was all incorporated with it? It has none. So that's why I had that little window in there in case you wanted to have it, but those switches you cannot find. So the switch I got is a universal switch for these year cars that actually do cancel, which I really like. What else? Yeah, it'd be nice to get the car to move on its own power, sort of, but it's hard, because I got to put the shifter in. There's a lot going on here, so still, so I'm going to put a constant duty solenoid for the electrical system, so that anything new in the car would be run off of that for the most part. That would be turned on with the key. The only thing I'm going to have with the key directly is most likely the radio. I'll have an extra thing for a radio, and there's no radio in this car, but I'll have an extra line for the radio, and I'll have the ignition for it. There is an accessory thing, so I'll go on the accessory, the radio part. But and that's because there's always a chance that before this thing shuts down, the engine wants to stay on. With the other car I built, the fan would be running, and when you shut the key off, when the fan cuts off power, it's actually generating power on its own while it's slowing down, and then the engine doesn't shut off immediately. So when the fan is running and you shut it off, it takes a couple of seconds to actually, it just doesn't instantly shut off. It's like, doom, doom. So, but I like that, because you can use a small ignition switch, which I'm going to change that one anyway, because it's not strong enough. But still, these things can't handle much more than 30 amps. So what are you going to do with 30 amps when your whole car is, 90 or 100 or whatever, and putting electric steering, all this and that? You can't turn on everything with that, with that thing. So these switches here are good, because, she didn't have, you could just turn the key. She had that foot pedal with the clutch. You had to hit the clutch to hit the button. Otherwise, even when you stomp it with your foot, it's very hard to turn it on. So converting it to this allows you to just turn it with a key, and you're done. But, so the start mechanism is going to be on here, the coil is going to be on here, and whatever original accessories were driven off this. But I'm going to probably backfeed the heater and everything off of the other stuff, because the heater has to be reduced from 12 volts to 6 volts. So I got a couple of things for that. The gauge has got to be 6 volts. So I got to figure out the power leads going into there and whatnot, and figure that part out. The lights we're going to convert to 12 volts, so I got to change all the bulbs. And I got to figure out something. I'd like to put reverse lights in, but that's not really happening until I get the shifter to work, which I don't even have the bezel for it. So, but I can start on the shifter for sure, So that's where I'm up against right now. And I'll tinker around today. It's Sunday. I got to work tomorrow. I got to be very easy. I got to go to sleep. So, but that's it for today, I think. Yo, baby, you want to take a ride in my pickup truck? 7 pieces of 2x4. Just to show you, if you remember, I built all these shelves. I added these 2 shelves right here, and then all the way on here, along here, and I tied it up, and I put all these little shelves here inside the beams for little trinkets and stuff. I put a heater up there. I just bought that thing right there to put more shit in. It'll probably fit around here. So I was using these 4 outlets here forever, and it was kind of overloading everything. So I have 1, 2, 3 new outlets, and then I have a new line running that's doing some lights, which I'm going to have these lights up here, a light inside here. I got this whole concoction over here, another plug over there that's going to light, because I want to light these items over here. And in the middle of that, and I ran it going around. And oh, by the way, I added to this. This was just kind of suspended in midair. So now I have it hilted down into the ground, into the concrete. So all this weight that I'm putting at least has 1 pillar of support. It's something, you know. But I built this extra because that was just like that, and this is extra on top of that, and then this whole thing. And I can actually climb up there and then get to the upstairs from that way as well. That's the ladder, and I got, like I said, I got wiring going through here. I also had a bad connection in one of my boxes I originally did, and all this power was out, so I fixed that. I got a light under here now. This is where I'm keeping my oil bins and this smaller thing, and ultimately I'm going to put another light going across this beam right here, so it gives me light kind of on both sides. And I'm not going to bother about the other side right now, but I just wanted to get this straightened out. But it's a lot of extra space, so I put all these little cubby holes here, and I utilize the space in here to make it useful, because there's a lot of little things. I can tend to put little things on top of little things on top of little things, and then everything falls, and I gotta sweep it up, throw it in a pile somewhere. It's tough being me. And of course, it looks like I have a lot of shit in here, and I still do, but a lot of it's construction, but also the stuff that was on the other side that came out of the Ford Taurus, because I took everything from that side and took it away. Oh. And I got rid of some stuff. I'm going to get rid of some more stuff. And reutilize this area. Maybe reutilize that guy. Maybe I can actually, if the tools that I had that were in the Taurus go somewhere at least, maybe I can actually get to working on this car, even if it's like once in a blue moon. So I put it for sale, but I'd rather fix it. It's worth more. So that's it. I don't think he wants to go in right now. I haven't taken much videos of the Studebaker because I've actually cleaned up the garage quite a bit. I painted the floor, although I pretty much didn't let it dry all the way. No big deal. But I built this shelving over here, including a space to put all my oil buckets. I bought this thing, cleaned it up, and put some plastic diamond plate looking stuff in there. And I built this guy and this guy going over. I gave myself a bunch of more outlets. 1, 2, 3 over there. I put this guy in over here. I actually can find this now. And then I have these 2 lights over here. This little guy turns on that light. But it's also, it's like a desk light. It's connected to 3 lights. So now if I ever decide to one day use this, in over a year I haven't used it, walnut shell blaster, then I have light there, and it kind of lights up this area. I got another thing over here, and this light lights up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights. So I gave myself even more light because I kind of blocked off some of the light that I was getting, but, or the light absorbed into certain spots. So it's still not really organized, but I needed to do it. That being said, Oh, I scrapped the whole, but I sold a 204R I had, and I was going to scrap the rest, but the training guy felt bad because I told him I was scrapping them, so he bought them all off me. I mean, for nothing, but I get tired of selling stuff. If they don't sell right away, they're probably pretty much not going to sell. So I just let's see. So I started taking apart the wiring harness because it was melted in a couple of spots. And besides that, I'm like, there's too much going on here, and I'm thinking about, somewhat conventional brakes, power brakes. That was the clue I was leading in on. I really wanted to put a Hydro Boost system in and then use the power steering pump to make it work. So I bought a Hydro Boost system, but it's a little tight in there. I haven't really gone through it all just yet. This is thing. So I separated the wiring harness. Basically, it's a bunch of pieces that are taped together. And ultimately, what I want to do is put like a harness connector, because that thing is, what a pain in the ass. It's hard enough getting the 4 bolts out, but you would never be able to do it, especially with this thing in. But I did get it out with this thing in. So that's okay. I was thinking about if I can get some kind of like thumb nuts, to tighten the 4 bolts that hold it in. It's not really a lot, but there's studs here. And oh yeah, this is the oil line, which I might just redo, or just bend it in a different way and reuse this end, and then do up the other end. What else? I'm thinking about doing something different with the wipers. This is a 1-speed switch. I'm going to probably keep this light switch since it's so complicated, but I was thinking of other ideas to make the headlights dim, and I don't think it had that option because there's all these other plugs here. This might just be for other lights all around the car that are not being used, for the most part. So this is probably feeding the dashboard lights, and then that's it. Don't know if it's going to dim, but it's 6 volts, so I'm thinking about doing something different, like where maybe I can make it turn on to something else, other lights in the car, because you see the car doesn't have the option for these guys, so that's a whole nother thing. And my wheels are turning, to make something nice. Oh, I guess this just goes like that. Oh, okay, that's all right. So still haven't done anything with the steering wheel yet, so this is not back together. But for the most part, I've been working on the garage for almost 2 weeks, so that's why I didn't get anything done for the most part. But I am taking it apart now, the wiring, which I really didn't want to do, but it's very hard not to do it. So I bought like a whole bunch of different options as far as wiring and fuse boxes and relays, and these are 14 gauge connectors. So I kind of want to put one for, and this is 8 wires, and I kind of want to put it where the cluster unplugs with 1 plug, and if not 2 plugs, because I bought these guys here, 12 gauge. I have this guy, or something else. I thought I had something else. Yeah, right here. So this is a 8 gauge thing that should be good for the gauge, And of course, I'm still going to add a light in for the dashboard for the alternator, but this would be the generator gauge. And if you can imagine, if this is on the back, you unplug one of these guys and one of these guys, and the whole thing disconnects. So I think that's a smart way to go. So we'll see. Time tells. I got like a wiring set here. I'm using all 14 gauge wire, and I have some 12 gauge wire if I really need to use it, because I felt like in the other car, I got by with the 16 gauge, but I just felt better going 14 gauge, and because I had 14 and 12 seemed overkill in a lot of places where I really couldn't use 16. So 14 I think will cover both. That way, and all the wires look pretty much identical, and you buy the same connectors and whatnot. Not that it really matters too much. And I have, like I said, I have a few ideas up my sleeve. This is a potentiometer to dim the lights and whatnot. Not sure how I'll implement it, but whether I just make a hole in the dashboard for it. I don't see why. It's not a big deal. It's a custom job, but like a little tiny knob is not going to hurt anything. It's not like I'm going to take away the originality because I already took it away. This thing here this is like for directional signals, which the car did not come with. So I'm thinking about replacing this with a modern one to have at least 4, if not more, and take it from there. This is the horn relay, which maybe can be used, but I just use a regular relay probably. I'll probably just take it out. I'll change the wire going there. I don't know if I'll get up to changing the wires going in here, but they don't look good at the edge, of course, where it goes in, so probably will. So a lot to think about, a lot to do. And I did mount this on with both belts. This would be for the power steering, which I really wanted to use for brakes. And I can still use Hydro Boost. Whether I do it under the floor or over here, I can do it either way. I could say it's a moot point because you could just put a vacuum booster and be done with it if I actually go this route. But it's big, so it'll look like a regular car, if anything. But, the Hydro Boost is nice because it takes up, less room, So, and yeah, it adds something else, but it also avoids Chinese boosters, which not always are the best, So I'm doing a lot of thinking and less doing, but I'm trying to do a little more. I want to take off the wiper motor and see if I can make something else fit there. And these are my plans. That looks like a bolt. Okay. So I was worried this was made out of copper because I saw a bunch of copper on this. But when I cleaned it off with the cookie disc, okay, it got nice and shiny. So I'm like, okay. So what I was doing here is this was soldered on, which is wild. And I grinded it off for the most part, and then I was using the bolt buster to heat it up, and then I finally got it to come off. You can even see the inference there, although the sun is kind of messing everything. I think that's pretty good. You can see where it's copper and where it's not. So, perfectly good motor, unfortunately. But now the only thing I don't know is if this is clocked correctly. So I drilled it out to 1132s, and I just caught a little tiny bit of the 3/8 part. But it was high up on it, and when I tightened it, it flawlessly went on. And it seemed like it made threads. I can't move this, so I'm hoping it's going to hold. I just moved it like that. So, and when you look at this, you can see little splines right there. And when you look at the original one I took off, it's kind of similar. The only difference is this is thicker, So there's more on it. I suppose if I made it slightly bigger, because this is a tapered fit here, I could go further, because it does only seem like I have so much. I figure I could get it almost all the way, but it seems fine. And truthfully, and the only thing I don't know is the clocking position, because this is going to be difficult when the time comes, because I'm pretty sure I can only have that on one way for these wipers to work. But basically, I look at the wipers. If they don't look right, I take it off, and I try to remember what I do and just keep going over a little bit. Now, I have it flush there, and this hits it flush. But I suppose I can put like a locking washer or just even a regular washer to help push it down more. I didn't want to tighten it any more than I, had to tighten it, but it's really looking solid. And even just there, I'm getting it tighter. That's pretty much all the way. And now the motor just spins a little bit. And when I take it off, you got to figure there's not a lot of resistance for this to be like this. But then again, maybe not. That's why they soldered it, maybe. But, in 1951, they didn't know that we'd be having these little tiny motors doing all this work. It made its own thing, because that's a harness shaft. And I don't think it's any different than what they use the other ones with. Now, I'm just looking now. and I'm not actually seeing splines in one part. So I don't know if it'll help to go a little bit further, or perhaps, use a washer that's bigger than this, so it forces it on further. Because that's all I have to do pretty much, and then I can weld that washer to this to make it overall thicker. But then again, maybe not. It may be better to try to make a duplicate of this, of the same thickness of this. Because I didn't think about this, but yeah, I'm not seeing it making the I probably should have just left it tight, because I think it would have done just the same job. And also heat it up maybe. It's probably not nearly that bad. But I should have left it. I just barely grazed it with the 3/8, and I was going 1132s on it, but see, it was like this. Oh gee, I have it backwards. Not that it matters, but I'm wondering if I play with it the other way, it'll give me more angle on this, whatever, more bite. And I guess I can also hold it to see if because it's spinning the motor, but I'm wondering if I hold it and tighten it, it may just give it more. I mean, the splines are sticking up now, and I'm like, I just can't lift it with my hand, so I'm kind of hoping that this works. Yeah, I kind of feel like I got more on that side. Yeah, there just seems to be one section that's not getting it, so that's funny. I'm going to probably just try a washer. The thing is, though, the problem with the washer part is, like, this thing originally had a 7/16 nut, and something goes over this. It's like an angle thing, and it's like goes like this. So you have to, and you can't see it. Although it looks like there's a window that can be opened in that last video. So I'm thinking this might just be fine. But I think overall I can get it tighter. I'm just not sure how that will work out, because it was a bolt that was in there, not a nut. But I don't see it being any difference. In a 7/16, hopefully it's not bigger than this flange, because then I might have a little bit of problem. But I don't see why it would be. We'll see. Got new shoes. Yeah, I look pretty cool with them. Anyway, they were cheap. That's why. Like $40 cheaper than the black ones. Anyway, so this is what I came up with. I put this aluminum bracket. I used 2 bolts. I used the longer bolts. The smaller bolts were just a little. It seemed to be even, but I wanted to get past it, and then I used the cookie disc, and I actually didn't get all the way down here. But by putting on this 3rd bolt here, it's really going to help prevent it from really moving anywhere. It's a pretty thick piece of aluminum. The worst case scenario, if something happens, it's got to be drilled through and put nut and bolt, which I was trying to avoid. The other thing I can do is put like carriage bolts through to this side, so that you have to undo it from the back, and you still have to. You'd have to undo it from the back, and you still have to remove these, because that's how this one was. Basically, everything was all contained. You couldn't even get out this rubber thing without taking off everything, because it was all buried in between, the way they made it. So it ended up being this complex thing here, which actually helps keep it strong. I don't really think it's terribly necessary, but I learned how to put it on the park position, and I realized in the car park position, it's basically straight up like that. So hopefully I got a little bit of room with the bolts there to kind of move it, because it's just slightly off, and I don't know how that's going to affect it. It's probably going to affect it almost none. But if you look, the hole is very small. It's not like this huge hole. So covering this up like this, it's pretty much just like factory, you know. So that's going to work good. I need a space here. There's a little bit of an angle. I don't think the angle is going to matter much. I think when I bolt it in, it'll be fine. I can also take one of the aluminum spacers I have and kind of grind it on the side until I get it to fit in there. I don't see it being an issue at all. This is going to work out pretty darn good, I think. You know, all things considered, because it's going to fit in the factory place. And now we can't get it out. Come on. There's a sweet spot. There we go. So ultimately, I have to undo this, because this is another reason why it's probably going to hold. There are splines that I made by tightening this. I'm also thinking I could go bigger on the hole, because then it'll go down further, and then the other piece will also go, but I don't think it's meant for it. I think this is meant to be in the splines, and that's it, or in this case, it was soldered on. And truthfully, I can solder this back on, you know, put something, you know, I could put some kind of Loctite on it as well, you know, to help it out, you know. And then this is meant to go over it, and then you put the nut. And the center of that thing kind of looks like it comes out. There's a little ball bearing that goes through a hole that looks like, and I tried messing with it for a little bit, and it looks like that's the axis for the hole. Like I used an open end wrench, and that was just a clip. This one you can't see any clips, but there's a clip on this end, but it looks like that one would pick up and rotate. You don't even need it in there. If it broke off, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I can feel the little ball on this side. Like this ends up almost like it's a spring, like it's spring loaded. I feel the hole in the middle. It just means nobody's ever messed with it, probably, you know. So I'm really liking this. This is not so bad. And the only thing I might do is drill out the holes to be like the 10 millimeter holes, because they were basically just machine screws. You know, I really don't care for machine screws in cars like they do in these years. You know, it's so crazy. But ultimately, it would give me a little more room. But I can just make the holes bigger, because that aluminum plate is going to cover everything pretty much. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty set right there. You know, still working on the brakes, still thinking of different things for that, and I really haven't, like, I'd have to take off the bracket off the Hydro Boost to make that work. And there's still, you know, a chance I can maybe do it over here. I don't know. The firewall starts to curve here, which I kind of don't like. It's like flat here. So it's okay here, and then like right where the hole is, where the speedometer comes out, this really bends in, you know, and that bothers me. Because I'm like, it's an angle I don't want to deal with. But if I put a vacuum booster, which there seems to be plenty of room for, it's just not, it's not as cool as Hydro Boost, you know. But I'm just seeing the whole system in there, you know, Hydro Boost with the working power steering pump. Of course, having no power steering pump allows all this to be seen very easily. But busy is kind of cool too, you know. So we'll see. This is the line for the power brakes for the vacuum if I want to do that way. Either way, it's going to work out. What's up, puppy? Huh? What's up there? Oh, yes. All right. Let's start finishing off little things here. The other thing I did is I made these holes bigger, and I threaded these with the 6 millimeter thing, and so I was able to catch them. But what happens is there's no thread at the end there, so they kind of keep rotating, or that one kept rotating, so it's holding just good enough. So basically what this does is it allows me to stick this in. I hope it does, at least, because you have to kind of angle this to get the thing in. It may not work now that I think about it. I don't know what you can see, but yeah, I gotta kind of, yes, I think one of them, yeah, because I had to go down to go up, So this is the one that was looser, I think. So I think I can just thread it most of the way that way. And even with this one, I don't see why not. It just barely threads, and it just makes it a lot less annoying. And then I know that then I'm not going to have something that's too long coming out the other side. I think technically these holes make it a little bit easier. Yeah, I think I have to at least remove one, or just have them all the way at the bottom. Yet still, this is a dream compared to having to catch something when you're working by yourself. Yeah, so basically I would do that, and then yeah, so it's there. Now I gotta tighten from the other side, but I kind of gotta guide it through as well. And I'm not sure if, see, that just moved, but it's inside. Let me just put these a little bit more. I'm hoping that I'm at a good place. Whoops. Jesus Christ. How the fuck did this stick to me? Alright. So we're putting a little extra thread, and that thing is there. I don't know if I'm holding this right. Okay, so now I made it. I just got to tighten it from the other side. I still think it makes it less annoying, but you can't just permanently make studs. That sounded like it fell. Let me just tighten the one that didn't sound like it fell. Okay, it just kind of flopped over a little. Once the thread is through, it can't really mess that up. Okay. And it's still ultimately just slightly to the side. I gotta keep the rotation this way. I gotta go up on that side. If anything, that little bit I get left will help me out. In the meantime, I will catch these nuts. I really don't think the distance, the amount of that play is going to matter, but you see what I mean? That little tiny bit, I'm just going to, and like I said, I didn't even make these holes that big, but I could take it out and make the holes bigger. But if it works, it's fine. I can see it move, so I probably gotta do it with two hands. But I also made this guy, and that should fit in there. There's a little piece of rubber in there as well, and ultimately I'll use the same. See, that actually works pretty good. If it's off a little bit, it'll bend, but I'm going to use that drill again with the 6mm, and I'll feed a bolt going up as well that way, and put a nut on it too. And that's going to actually help with these that are kind of, I don't want to say they're fugazi, but just in case this is a little bit too thin for that, it definitely helps with the torque. Throwing it off. So I just really hope the motor is strong enough and everything works out. So I'm going to tighten it with my hands, and hopefully maybe I can just test it with a jumper pack or something like that. Well, the good news is, the bad news was this one kind of tightened just fine. This one here was kind of spinning on me, so if I was tightening it, this one was kind of going counterclockwise, which is out on this side. So all I did was just tighten it from this side, and because it's a flange nut with grip, it just tightened right up. So it's tight. And then I went to the outside and it wouldn't move. So I'm pretty good with that. So I got to take off that nut. But I would really like to open this up somehow. And the thing is like I can't even. There's got to be a clip on this side. You kind of don't want to take shit apart, but you don't want to involve yourself in. But it doesn't look like it comes out. No, this all looks like one piece. That's crazy. That's really crazy. So I'm sure if I take a little screwdriver and try to pry this, it'll come, you know, because that was really a pain in the neck to get to. But I still think I can do it the same way. But I want to see if the thing starts to come off on me, you know. So we'll see. Haha, I got it. So this is just the pivot point, so it just opens like a window. Boy, I was doing it the hard way, obviously. But hopefully now this comes off. Okay, that came off without turning the motor, so that's good. And I'm not worried about turning the motor because I already determined park. And this guy, like I said, if it's just off a hair, I think there's room for that. Hang on a second, where am I? I sure hope I put it in the right place, because this would suck. I just dropped the nut. Do I have it backwards? I sure hope. Oh wait, I have to wipe it up. I was playing with it. Okay. That seems to be in the fold and not locking things, so I'm going to probably just, because I already dropped the nut, I'm going to use two hands and try to get that started. I really hope everything works out. It does look like it may have passed. Yeah, the nut helps it get further on, but I don't know if that means this will, you know. I'm a little worried, but maybe if I put a larger washer on the outside, because this seems to be pretty steep hook there that goes inside those things, so this might be interesting. Yeah, so when I put the nut on, the flange of the nut extended past the nut, so I was able to pull it more. So that's interesting. So I'm a little worried that it would get loose, but I would need to kind of, you know, see, something like this would be probably perfect even, you know, like if I get the right size. I don't know if that'll fit, but if it's cut like that on the inside, maybe, you know, sandwiched between the two, it'll make the space that I need. Obviously it has to be bigger, but make, you know, or the other style of thing, so it'll act like a washer, but it'll also have grip, so it prevents it from rotating against the other shaft. I just don't know if that's going to be effective or not, if, you know, in totality. So guess I'll find out. So I just decided to make it tight as hell, and it's definitely not protruding out, you know, so it's a little worrisome, but I needed every bit of that nut. So if I put a washer, it might have done something, because there might be a space in between, you know, like when it comes to the final thing, like something might have to be done, like it is soldered to that thing or something along those lines. Right now, though, I don't think it's too much of an issue. I'm wondering if this thing will pass, but I guess I can just move it just the same. That's pretty cool, though. I got that on, I got the latch on. I mean, the wipers are all the way down. I mean, I suppose, like a lot of these old cars, that you have individual little splines here, so you can actually move each individual one a spline off, because like this one seems to be slightly higher, but who knows if that was like that or not, or what. You know, it's right there. You know, and this one, I just push that up a little bit it's fine. So, if I get rid of this rubber band, I want to actually put on that third bolt before I put any power to it. So I'm going to get to doing that. Alright, wipers are up because I just tested it. Because I didn't want to look like a fool on video if it didn't work, but I believe that's low. That's high. And then, if you're there, then you put power to the red, and then you have to jump. This is a little harder to do, but ultimately you're going to hear it from the motor, and you go like this. Boom. And that's parked. So, works fucking awesome. The only thing is I don't know, it's not a problem, is that when I tighten this, the whole oil to go on the inside, so I may loosen it and just see if I can get a full-size one in. I really wasn't paying attention to see if I actually started, bending on this, because I don't want to do that either, so that's the only thing, but fucking works awesome. So in the end, I was going to try to drill on this angle here, but I ended up drilling it there. This is not perpendicular to that, but it ends up being it's the perfect angle. Everything worked out just fine. And I just have to tighten it from the inside though first. I got it. But that didn't flex at all. That's all good. Awesome.